apprehended insurrection. We've had civil disturbances in Canada before. And I can recall as a boy the Winnipeg strike and the riots. And I recall the trek of the unemployed from Vancouver on the way to Ottawa and the riots in Regina. There have been civil disturbances before, and there have been subversive organizations that work in our society before. And governments have been able to secure from Parliament the necessary powers and authority to deal with those situations without invoking the War Measures Act. This is the first time, to my knowledge, in Canadian history that the War Measures Act has been invoked in peacetime. Now, I want to say, as far as New Democratic Party is concerned, we have been prepared and we are prepared to support enlarging the police powers if the government thinks it necessary, to give them greater authority in the matter of search for dynamite or offensive weapons. They have the power now to search for dynamite and offensive weapons as one preclusion, and that is a personal dwelling. And certainly, if the government required the inclusion of personal dwellings for a stated period of time and under some protection, then we would certainly be prepared to consider the advisability of giving those additional powers. We are prepared to support the government in taking whatever measures are necessary to safeguard life and to maintain law and order in this country. But, Mr. Speaker, we are not prepared to use the preservation of law and order as a smokescreen to destroy the liberties and the freedom of the people of Canada. Well, I wonder if the Liberal members who are shouting shame have read the regulations. The government, I submit, is using a sledgehammer to crack a peanut. This is overkill on a gargantuan scale. Why has the government invoked the War Measures Act? Why has the government invoked the War Measures Act? May I point out that the FLQ have been around for some 6 or 7 years. For several years now, it is well known that they have committed and been found guilty of acts of sabotage, putting bombs in mailboxes, blowing up parts or all of public buildings. And the Prime Minister was Minister of Justice for 3 years and has been Prime Minister of this country for over 2 years. Why have we not been asked to supply them with the power to deal with the growing menace that they now say is so tremendous that we must invoke the War Measures Act and declare it an apprehended state of insurrection? The fact is that it's very clear that the government has panicked and is now putting on a dramatic performance to cover up its own ineptitude. And in the process of passing the War Measures Act, I wonder if the gentlemen opposite who are making so much noise have stopped to consider that today The Prime Minister holds more power in his hand than any Prime Minister in the peacetime history of Canada. That there is no Constitution in this country, no Bill of Rights, no provincial constitution. This government now has the power by order in council to do anything it wants. To intern any citizen, to deport any citizen, to arrest any person, to declare any organization subversive and illegal. These are tremendous powers to put into the hands of the men who sit on the Treasury bench. If my friends will look at the regulations, they'll find that if the police in their judgment decide that some person is a member of a subversive organization, not just the FLQ, anyone that's decided that the police decide is a subversive organization, or who contributes to such a party, or who communicates any of the ideas or doctrines of such a party, that they can be arrested and detained for 90 days, and at the end of 90 days they have the power to appeal to a Superior Court judge to set a date for their trial, and that may be put off sometime, and they may be denied bail. So that a person in Canada can be held for 90 days or more without any opportunity to prove their innocence, any opportunity to prove that they didn't belong to a subversive organization, or to prove that the organization to which they belonged was not subversive, in spite of what may be in the minds of those who arrested them. These regulations give the power to seize property and hold it for 90 days. This is a resurrection of the padlock law. These are very serious powers. And if the government required those kinds of powers, surely in a democracy they should have asked the democratically elected representatives of the people to give them those powers. Now, Mr. Speaker, may I conclude by asking what will be the effect of the action which the government has taken? Well, I hope, first of all, that the effect will be to bring about the release of Mr. Cross and Mr. Laporte. I certainly hope that. I also hope that the effect of this will be to reduce the effectiveness and the activities of the FLQ. But I'm not very sanguine about that, because the history of our country and other countries is that revolutionary movements, when declared illegal, go underground and have an unhappy faculty of coming up from underground stronger than when they went down. And we remember when Section 98 was put in the Criminal Code to deal with the Communist Party. It was not very effective. And the Liberal Party, I was in the House at the time when the Liberal Party took Section 98 out of the Criminal Code on the very proper liberal ideology that you should not condemn a person for his ideas, but only for his acts of violence and dissidence.